After Coffee. My name is Bree. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been around for a while, thanks for coming back. Today, I'm gonna get right into my September wrap-up. I finished 4 books in September. Woohoo! Beat my 3-a-month goal. And I had a couple of 3s, a 4, and a 5. The first 2 I don't have physical copies of, but the first one I'm going to talk about is Whiskey in a Teacup by Reese Witherspoon. I will throw a picture up beside me. This one was like a cookbook slash memoir. It was cute, it was sweet. I gave it 3 stars. It just wasn't something that I got really excited about. I love Reese Witherspoon. I think she's super adorable and super sweet, and I do love memoirs, so I thought, you know what, I'll just give it a listen. I got the audiobook from my library. It was good. It just like wasn't anything ultra special or that you hadn't heard before or whatever. Like, she was just fun to listen to, but like 3.5 stars is about what I gave it. I should have screenshotted some of the PDF recipes. It's at my library, so I can always download it a second time if I want to go and get those recipes. Like I said, she's super sweet. It was fun. It just wasn't anything that was super emotional or like made my heart skip a beat or whatever. So anyway, the next one that I read is actually my most anticipated book of 2020, and it was a 3-star. And I was really sad that I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. So the book in question, I will put a picture up beside me, is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. Now, I want to preface this and say the first 100 pages I loved. I loved the first 100 pages. I adored them. I thought the book was going to be like a favorite book of the year. This might be a book that I have to revisit in the future and see if there's something that changes about it for me, but at the moment I'm like 3.5 stars. I just did not do what I wanted it to do, which is totally fine. I know that right now it's like, I think on the bestseller list, and I think it gets a ton of 5-star reviews, so obviously other people are loving it more than I did, but I just didn't love it as much as I loved the 5 or 6 other books that I've read by him. So the first 100 pages, like I said, went swimming. Like, they were so good, and there were some really, really good quotes like about parenting, and Bachman knows how to put empathy in his books in a really, really wonderful way. I've got to say that about this book. There is a lot of empathy, which I love. But about the midsection, like the middle third or so, this book kind of goes back and forth, and some of it's like manuscript from interviews between the police and these people, and then the other book is like the backstory, and I don't want to spoil anything, and other story to do with what's going on. So it kind of jumped back and forth, and there's a middle section where I really just got drawn out. I didn't really love many of the characters in the book. I actually did enjoy the 2 officers' perspectives that we get. I enjoyed their characters, and there was one like witness or hostage or whatever you want to call them that I did love for a while until I didn't. It just, in the middle of the book, I got really pulled out. And then the last third, it kind of started going back to the way that the beginning felt to me, but I was sort of just out of it by then, and I couldn't get back into that like cozy rip my heart out place. And I didn't really love like how the book resolved itself, like how everything turned out and kind of wrapped up. I didn't love all of it. Not so much that it was like a bad thing, but it was just like there were certain characters that I thought could have done so much more, and they didn't. And it just didn't settle well with me personally. That being said, I'd say this is a book that you definitely have to read yourself, and not to take necessarily my recommendation off of, because I just have very personal feelings about how I felt about this book in particular. So yeah, I was very sad that Anxious People was not like an all the stars read for me. That being said, Bachman is still Bachman. Like, he still did great things with the book. I just didn't love it as much as I could have. I'm gonna move on now. So the next book that I have here is Robin by Dave Itzkoff. I actually didn't end up reading this one physically. I read some of it alongside the audiobook, but for the most part, I just listened to the audiobook. That way I could have it on in the car, and I could listen to it while I did like housework and stuff. And so the audiobook is like 14 to 18 hours long. I think it's quite long, like she's a chunky one. So I did listen to that for the most part, and I listened to it quite quickly. If you are looking for a super, super in-depth biography of his film career, that's mostly what this book is about, but also what you learn is that Robin Williams wasn't a very personal person. Like, he didn't, like, there was, I think maybe I was reading this hoping that I would get a little bit more in depth of who he was as a person, and all I took away from the book is that he never really showed anyone, like not his kids, not his wives, not anyone, who he was, or like the really deep parts of him. And it was still really sad. I thought I was gonna cry. I didn't end up crying. I got a little bit almost teary listening to the very end. The very last part are like, I guess, quotes of like his friends that the author is reading out with these people, and that part got me a little bit kind of choked up. But I did think it was a really, really interesting read or listen, and I definitely I love memoirs and biographies and stuff. I always joke with people and say, like, if you really love a person and you don't want to like tarnish their image, don't read their biography, because it obviously shows the good parts and the bad. And there was a lot of things, like, I didn't know that he had cheated on his wife. I didn't know that he was a drug addict. Like, these were things that I just personally didn't know. I was pretty little when I started like watching the movies that he was in, but I had no idea that he had those kinds of afflictions as well. I thought the ending and the illnesses that he was diagnosed with were, it definitely added to possibly what happened. But yeah, overall I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really good. I thought the audiobook was awesome, actually. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I don't think I would have gotten through it necessarily physically without taking a really, really long time, just because it is such like an info dump. But when I was listening to it, it was fine, and I just enjoyed it, and it just kind of kept going, and I could do other things while listening, kind of like a podcast. So yeah, Robin by David Koff, I really did enjoy. And the last one is my favorite book of the month, and this is Wundersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow, book 2 in the Nevermore series. I'm not going to say much about this because it is the second book, and I don't really want to talk about what's going on in it. That being said, there are really, really great elements of friendship, and like the found family kind of continues on, and we follow more of our characters that we already know and love. If you haven't read Nevermore, I can't recommend it enough if you love like a whimsical middle grade story. I loved Wundersmith. I love Morrigan. I need to go and pre-order book 3. It's coming out soon, and I want it so bad. I'm trying to decide, do I want to hold out for the paperback so that they all match, or do I want to just get the hardcover and suck it up and have a mismatched series and then actually get to read it? I don't know. But I cannot say enough good things about Wundersmith. It was such a fun book. I loved it as much, if not maybe more, than the first one. I honestly don't know if I could pick which one I liked better. I thoroughly enjoyed them both. I thought they were both really fun, really fast reads. Like, I actually didn't annotate the last part of it because I literally sat there and read it so fast. Like, I read the last like 300 pages in an afternoon, like between like then and bedtime. I just read and read and read and read and read, and I wasn't even annotating at that point because I just didn't want to stop, and I was loving it so much, and so I just kept on just trucking on. But yeah, Wundersmith, book 2 in the Nevermore series, super awesome. Give it a read. It's so sweet. That's everything that I've got for my September wrap-up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below, what was your favorite read in September? What are you reading right now? Are any of these books on your TBR? Have they been added to your TBR if they weren't already? I would love to hear from you down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future notifications. I do upload most Mondays and Thursdays, and I will talk to you guys all soon. Thanks so much for watching.